Hello guys, once again welcome back to another Android app development tutorial. In this video here I am going to show you how to use material chips in your Android application. So in this episode here I am going to demonstrate how to use an entry chip in your Android application. So here is an example application. So here we have some contacts. So now I am going to add this contact in the form of entry chip. So here I make a selection. So the selection is now available in the form of a chip. Now I search for another contact. Now I select another contact. So this is an example of entry chip in your Android application. Also you can remove the items. So in this video we are going to create an Android application similar to this one. Start a new Android Studio project. Here I name it as chip demo. Select an empty activity. So here the project is created successfully in Android Studio. So for using chips in your Android Studio project, you have to add the material components dependencies. So open your browser and search for Android material component dependencies. Search for Android material components. Okay, so for adding these dependencies, you have to make sure that the Google Maven repository is added in your project. We can check it out. Open the project level module file. Within the all projects, it is already added. Okay, so now we can add the dependencies to the dependencies section available in module level Gradle file. So this project is actually depend on the original design support library. So for using the material components library, we need to refactor this project for support Android X dependencies. So by converting the converting the dependencies into Android X dependencies, you can get support from the Android X dependencies. At the same time, we can get support from the Android material components library. But if you want to still use the original design support library, you can access all the material components features from the design support library. In that case, you have to just add the dependencies for using the design support library. But here anyway, I'm going to convert these dependencies into Android X. For that, just go to the refactor, and here we have an option called migrate to Android X. So here if you want to backup the project, you can select this option. I don't need a backup, and click migrate and click do the refactor. So here now the dependencies is changed into Android X. Okay, so now we can add the dependencies for using Android material libraries. So now copy this line. Now paste it inside the dependencies section. Okay, so now sync project. Okay, now here the project sync finishes successfully. So now I need some circular image view. So there are plenty of libraries are available for circular image view. So I'm going to search for some circular image view. Okay, I'm going to use this library, circle image view. Okay, copy this dependency. Sync project again. Okay, so now we add all the needed dependencies for working with Android chips. Now we can begin the coding. So for using chips in your Android Studio project, the application must use a material theme. So now currently the application uses some app compact theme. So we have to modify the theme of the application. So go to values folder, open styles.xml. So now the current theme is an app compact theme. So we have to change the theme of the application into some material theme. So here I am going to change the theme into MaterialComponenets light dot dark action bar. So now we modify the theme into some material theme. Okay. So now I'm going to add some contact information into this project. I'm going to add some names. Also I need some contact images. So here I have some photos. Okay, put it inside the drawable folder. Okay, so now I want to add some contact names. I'm going to add all the contact names in the strings.xml in the form of a string array. So here I add some names in the form of a string array with array name names. Okay. Okay, so first we can create the user interface for the application. So open layout, open activity main.xml. So currently the root element of this layout is a constraint layout. For my convenience, I'm going to remove the constraint layout. I'm going to use a linear layout. Now specify an orientation for this layout. I'm going to use some vertical orientation. Okay. So first here I'm going to add some chip group. We are going to add each chip into a chip group. So first here I'm going to place some chip group. So here I add a chip group with the width match parent height drop content and ID is chip group, and I make the visibility into gone. Okay. So now I'm going to add some edit text. So here I add some edit text. This the purpose of the edit text to filter the list of contacts. Okay, with ID txt name. So now in order to display the list of contacts, I'm going to add some recycler view. So here I place a recycler view with ID recycler view. Okay. So now we can specify some scroll bar. Scroll bar vertical. Okay. So this is the layout for the application. So here is our demo application. So here the recycler view, each recycler view item contained an image view and a text view. So we need a separate layout file for each item on the list. So now I'm going to create a separate layout file. I name it as item layout. So here the root element is a linear layout with orientation vertical. So I change the orientation into horizontal. Width is match parent. I'm going to change the height into 75 dp. Okay. Now specify some margin. Layout margin. Specify margin into 4 dp. Okay. Now specify the gravity into center vertical. Okay. Now specify an ID for it. I name it as route to view. Okay, so now I'm going to add some circular image view and a text view. So here I add some circular image view and a text view. The circular image view with ID profile pic and the text view with ID profile name. So for testing purpose we can add some image into it. I select some image. Okay, now for testing purpose I'm going to add some text on it. Okay, so the layout looking fine. So this layout represents each item on the recycler view. Okay, now we can create a data class for the recycler view. So I'm going to create a new Java class with the class name contacts. So in this class I'm going to declare some variables. Name and now create another variable is an integer private int pic ID. Okay, now I'm going to add the getter methods. Add the getter methods for these two variables. Now I'm going to create a constructor for this class. Create a constructor with these two parameters. Okay, so this is the data class for the recycler view. So now we can create the adapter for the recycler view. Create a new Java class. I name it as recycler adapter. Okay, and this class extends adapter. Now implement needed methods. You have to override these three methods. Okay, so first we can create the view holder class. Extends view holder. So create a constructor inside this class. Okay, so here specify the generic type for this class. It is my view holder. So for this method the return type is an object of our custom view holder class, and for this method the first parameter is an object of our custom view holder. Okay, so in this class I'm going to create some variables for circular image view. Okay, I name it as profile pic. Now we need some text view. I name it as profile name. So now we can initialize the two variables from here. So first one is profile name. Profile name equal to item view dot find view by ID. That is profile name. Okay, so now we can initialize the profile pic. Profile pic equal to the same thing, item view dot find view by ID. That is profile pic. Okay, so here we need one more thing. We need some variables for linear layout. I name it as route to view. Okay, so now we can initialize that variable also. So route to view equal to item view dot find view by ID dot ID dot identifier is, I think, is route to view. Okay, so now we can inflate the layout, inflate each layout for the items in the recycler view. So first create some variables for Okay, so before going to inflate the layout, here we need some variables in this class. Private context, we need some list that contains some object of contacts. I name it as contacts. Okay, so now we can create some constructor for this class. Recycler adapter, with the two parameter. First one is context, second one is a list contacts. I name it as context. Now we can initialize the variables from here. This dot context equal to context, this dot contacts, contacts equal to contacts. Okay, so from the get item count method we can return the size of the list. So contacts dot size. Okay, now we can inflate the layout. So first create some object of view class, layout inflator from parent dot get context and inflate our dot layout, or layout is item layout parent comma false. Okay, so from this method we have to return an object of our view holder class. So return new my view holder and pass the view object. Okay, so now we can bind the views. So we can use the onBind view holder method. So we have to bind image on the image view. Also we have to set the name of the contact on the text view. So holder dot profile name dot set the text, contacts dot get position dot get name. Okay, so now we can set the profile picture. So holder dot profile pic dot set image drawable. Here we have to use the context compact dot get drawable. First parameter is the context. Now second parameter is the resource ID. So contacts dot get position dot get pic ID. Okay, okay, next up we need to get the click events of the items on the recycler view. For that, here for the view holder class I am going to implement on click listener. Now override the method, only one method on click. Okay, so now I am going to register the click listener for the route to view, that is the linear layout. So route to view dot set on click listener into this. Okay, so now we need to pass the click events back to the main activity. For that, here I am going to use a separate interface. So create an interface. Here I name it as recycler item selected listener. Okay, so in this interface I am going to create one method, public void on item selected. So for this method we need one parameter, that is an object of contact class, contacts contact. Okay, so now for the main activity, I'm going to implement that interface. So implements, our interface name is recycler item selected listener, and implement that method. Now go back to the adapter. First create a handler for the listener. So here create some variables, private recycler item selected listener, and name it as item selected listener. So now we can initialize that variable from the constructor. So item selected listener equal to context, and pass context. So here the context is the main activity. So typecast that one into main activity. Okay. So now we can pass the click events back to the main activity from the onClick method. So recycler, the handler name is item selected listener. So item selected listener dot on item selected. Now pass the contact object. So contacts dot get the adapter position. So now here I am going to do another method for filter the list of contacts. So when user types some names on the edit text, we have to filter the list of contact available on the recycler view. So here I am going to create a separate method for that. Public void update list. Here I name it as update list. This method needs one parameter, is a list of object contacts. Here I name it as new contacts. Okay, so first we can clear the current data available on the list. Okay, now contacts dot add all and pass the new contacts. Now call the notify dataset change on the adapter. Okay, this will update the list. So now the adapter for the recycler view is ready. Okay, now come back to main activity. So here we can create the needed variables. Private recycler view. Now we can create variables for recycler adapter, and name it as recycler adapter. Now we can create some list that contain contacts, that is an array list. Okay, now we can create the edit text. I name it as user input. Now we can create variables for ChipGroup. Here I name it as ChipGroup. I change into mChipGroup. Okay, so now we can initialize all the needed variables. So first we can initialize the recycler view. Now we can initialize the user input edit text, user input, txt name. Now we can initialize the ChipGroup, mChipGroup into finder view by id and dot id, that is ChipGroup. Okay, so now we can set some properties for the recycler view. So recycler view dot set layout manager, no linear layout manager, this. Okay, now recycler view dot set has fixed size into true. Okay, So now we can create the contact list. So here I am going to create a separate method for get contacts. Get contacts. Okay, so first here I am going to create some list that contains string names. Now I'm going to get the information from the strings.xml. We have a string array available in strings.xml called names. So now I'm going to get it into this variable called names. So arrays dot as list get resources dot get string array dot array dot names. Okay, now I am going to create some integer array that contain all the resource IDs of images available in the drawable folder. We place some contact images in the drawable folder. Now I am going to create some integer array that contain all the IDs of images available in the drawable folder. So here I create an integer array called image ID that contain all the image IDs available in drawable folder. So now we can create the object list. For that, here I am going to use some for each loop. So first here I create some variable called the count, initialize that variable with the value 0. Now we can start the for each loop. String name into names. Okay, now we can add each object into the contact list. So contacts dot add new contacts. First parameter is the name, second parameter is the image ID. So here the image IDs are available on this array called image ID, and pass the position. So here the position we use variable count. So now we can update variable count by 1. Okay, now we can call that method from the onCreate method. So from onCreate method I am going to call that method. So now we can initialize the adapter. So adapter recycler adapter equal to new recycler adapter. So here first parameter is context. So here first parameter is this. Now second parameter is the list of contact class object. So here it is available on this list called contacts. Okay, so now we can set the adapter for the recycler view. So recycler view dot set adapter and pass the adapter. Okay, so now we can test whether the recycler view working fine or not. Run the project. Okay, so now the recycler view is working fine. Okay, now we can perform the filter operation. So when user types some input, some name on the edit text, we have to filter the list of items. So that is the next step. So for that, here I am going to create some method. So here we have the edit text called user input. So on that edit text, here I am going to create some callback. So user input dot add text change listener, new text watcher. So the changed text available on this method called on text change. So first we can get the information from user input is dot to string. Okay, so now here create a new array list for adding the filtered list contacts. Here I name it as new contacts, a new array list. Okay, so now we can check the user input is available on the list of names For that, here I am going to use some for each loop. So contacts, contact, here it is, contacts. Now we can perform the check. So if contact dot get name dot contains user input, that means there is some matching string. In that case, we are going to add the object into the new list. So new contacts dot add contact. So now the filtered list available on this array list called the new contacts. Now we can update the adapter. So adapter recycler adapter equal to new recycler adapter main activity dot this. Second parameter is the list. Here it is, new contacts. Okay. Now we can set the adapter for the recycler view. So recycler view dot set adapter. Okay. So by using this method, I think there is no need of the method we created inside the adapter. Actually, this method is no need. You can comment this method, it is no need. Okay, so now we can check our project whether the filter operation is working fine or not. Okay, now run the project. Okay, run it again. Okay, now the project available here. Now type some name. Okay, now the filter operation is working fine. Okay, so now we can add the chips. So when user click an item on the recycler view, we got that click events on this method called on item selected in our main activity. So from here we are going to create a new chip and add that chip into the chip group. That is the procedure. So here, from here, I'm going to create a new chip. New chip, pass the context. Okay, now specify the chip properties. So chip dot set text. Get the name from the contact object. Get name. Now set the chip icon. Chip dot set chip icon. Context compact dot get label. Contact dot get pick id. Okay, now set some other properties. Dot set close icon visible. Close icon visible into true. Now set checkable. Set checkable into false. And now set clickable into false. Now we can add this chip into the chip group. So m chip group add view and pass the view. Now we can make the chip group visible. So m chip group dot set the visibility into visible. Okay, so now we can test it. Okay, run the project. Okay, now make some selection. So So now the selection is available in the form of a chip. Now make some filtering. Okay, so now the chip is working fine. So now we can handle the close button click event. So when user click the close button, we have to remove the chip from the chip group. Okay, now for remove the chip from chip group, here I am going to implement some on-click listener. On-click listener, and implement the method on-click method. So here I implement the on-click method. So now we can check the listener for the chip. So chip dot, there is a method called yes, the method name is set on close icon click listener. Set on close icon click listener, this one, and pass this. Okay, so from this method we can remove the chip from the chip group. So first we can get the chip. Okay, typecast that one into chip. Okay, now we can remove the chip from the chip group. So mChipGroup dot remove view and pass the chip. Okay, so now we can test it. So I run the project again. Try to add some chip. Okay, now try to remove chip. Okay, now the remove option is also working fine. So this is how we use enrich chip in your Android application. I hope you understand the concept. For getting more Android tutorial updates, please subscribe this channel now. If you have any doubts or suggestions, please mention it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.